We have 2 minutes. 2 minutes, everyone, 2 minutes. Good evening and welcome. My name is Lucas Spellman, Information Officer for the Palisades Fire. This is a community meeting for January 11th, 2025. This evening we will have speakers covering a wide range of information for you. We have collected your questions and we will answer them at the end of the informational presentation. If your questions have not been answered, we have public information officers in the foyer to help answer additional questions. We would like to thank all elected officials for being here this evening. Now for the presentation.
Good evening. My name is Christian Litz. I work with LA County Fire Department, and I'm operation here on the Palisades Fire. I'm going to go ahead and describe half the fire to you, and my partner, operations over there, will also describe the other half, the right half of the fire. The Palisades Fire is being reported at 23,654 acres and 11% containment. I'd like to take a second to talk about the aircraft. Everybody likes to see the aircraft in the air. We love it as a huge piece of equipment that puts a lot of work for us and helps us on the ground do what we need to do to secure the fire edges. So you'll hear terms like VLAT, LAT, air tankers. So a VLAT is a very large air tanker. It looks like a big commercial plane that's flying overhead. A large air tanker is a little bit smaller, and then we break it down. We even had a C-130 out there dropping some retardant to help us along. And then we have a robust number of helicopters out there. We have been using all these aircraft on these fires these last couple days. You have over 10 fixed wing, which is those VLATs and LATs, those air tankers out there dropping retardant for us. And then we have over 34 helicopters out there throughout the time period dropping either water or retardant on the fire's edge to help us keep this contained and keep it to the smallest footprint as possible. I always like to start off to say that we plan to keep a fire as small as possible that we can, but we always prepare for events to happen, wind shifts, changing in the environment, so that we're ready to respond to any new starts even around at the fire's edge. So I'm going to start at Topanga Canyon. If you look at the top side of the fire at Topanga Canyon, to the right of Topanga Canyon, if we follow that fire's edge all the way around to about where Sylvia Park is, just under it and a little to the right there, that edge of that fire has not moved. It looks really good, minimal activity, but we know there's still heat along that edge, so we still have people and personnel out there walking that edge, securing that edge, cutting line in there with hand tools to cut the fuel away from the black and the green that we like to say, and that's what's going to secure the edge, and then mop up interior so that we have no threat for any kind of possibility of progression on that fire. In that same area, you see Topanga Park, or Topanga Oak, you see Sylvia Park. We still have resources in there, and engines and personnel are in there walking around the houses, making plans, maybe doing some work around the houses there so we can build some defensible space. Again, just in case, right? We're always preparing for the future. Now, you did see some activity to the right of Sylvia Park. On this map, you see some black X's that move up and around. That's what we consider, that's a dozer line symbol. We did have some activity over there. We have aircraft working. We are switching back and forth between the airplanes and the helicopters to keep that in check. And we built a robust plan. We have resources on the top side of that and the bottom side of that. We have engines, crews, and as we work those aircraft and the situation changes for us, where as it cools out through the night, the activity as it goes down, they're going to attack that from both sides. Again, we call it direct, right? Right along the fire's edge to keep the footprint as small as possible. If we're looking at the top side above that, move around Dirt Mulholland as we move to the right until what drops down, comes down into Mandeville Canyon. That top side looks really good. Again, it's right up against that dozer line and that Dirt Mulholland. We still have resources and personnel in the area walking that, cooling it off, securing that edge, minimal fire activity over there. Still working on that heat, though. A lot of work to be done over there. As we move on the far right, top right of the map, and it comes down, you see Mandeville Canyon. The fire is down to Mandeville Canyon. We watched it as it was backing down into that area. Again, switching between the airplanes and the helicopters and retardant and water, lining it around that bottom as it eases down to lower that intensity as it brings down, to make sure it's in a safe location where resources can get in there and do some work. Winds in our favor in that area, so it looks really good. We have to continue to work hard, though, in the area to secure it and do it. If you look, you see some pictures out there. They're so deep engaged in that. We have fire engines that are now pink because they're matching that retardant as they're dropping in, but they're not backing out. They stay in there and work, and they have the public in their hearts and working hard around those structures. Coming down Wrightwood into the Westridge area, again, crews got in there direct, right against that fire's edge, securing the edge, all the way down into Mandeville Canyon Road to lock that side in. Now, as we move south, as we move down the map, you always see Riviera and down to Pacific Palisades. That footprint hasn't moved in a couple days, but there's still a lot of work in there with the structures damaged. So we still have people in there working all around those structures. The ones that are standing, they're going around those structures, making sure that there's no adverse fire effects on those structures and any additional damage, and then doing what they can in the community around that. And then you have the Pacific Palisades, and coming back down to the Topanga on the bottom side, or on the PCH. We still have resources going really deep interior, doing the same thing, maintaining that present, looking for the heat sources, and working around the structures. One thing that we've done is we use UASs, right? Unmanned air sources. They're drones, and the drones are pretty cool because they have the ability to have an IR, which they look for heat signatures. We don't only just use them around the perimeter of the fire, we're also using them around the structures. So they're getting over those structures and are finding those heat sources, and what that allows us is we can put people directly where we find that heat, and we can really dig in deep, get the water on there, get the hand tools in there, and limit the possibility of any kind of growth or any additional damage.
All right, good evening. My name is Landon Hack. Work for CAL FIRE, and I'm also Operations Section Chief on the incident, working in conjunction with Chief Lips. We are both joined at the hip, literally walking around the day operations, driving around the day operations and running this incident together, unified. Coming further to as we move to the left-hand side of the map here, coming along the Pacific Coast Highway, along Topanga Beach, Las Flores, right up there along the highway, there was a lot of structural damage in there, a lot of large buildings, and that stuff takes a really long time to get the heat out of. A lot of the mop-up work that's being done in there, they have to get really deep in there and pull heavy material back and stuff like that. And as you guys are all well aware of, along that coastal highway, there's a lot of roads that go up into the canyons and drainages up into where the homes were up in there. So the crews are all working up in those areas too, getting up very far in there and trying to make sure that everything is taken care of, the structures are secured, they're getting mopped up around, getting the water, and taking care of anything that's next to those structures. So one thing that they do when they're in there is the structures that are remaining, they go around and they clean anything up around and put water down and pull vegetation back and work on that so that there's less availability for fuels to get into those structures and continue to damage things. As we come over towards Malibu Canyon, you guys will see a black line that goes up there. That's where the Palisades fire ran into the burn scar from the Franklin fire about 4 or 5 weeks ago. So that black line is in there because that is what we consider controlled, that piece, in that there's no real ability for that fire to move beyond that point. In this case, that's because everything to the left of the map there is already burned. Coming up Malibu Canyon, up into Montanito, really good work has been done up in there. The fire was backing down through there a couple days ago. It produced a pretty good smoke column as a drainage burned out in there. That drainage had line constructed on it ahead of time that went in behind all the structures and was in place. There was hose lays down there, and that line was staffed with firefighters as that burned up, and they held it there, protecting the homes and structures in there. Coming across that top, moving to the right from Montanito, along Piuma and Saddle Creek road systems. The fire is hung up in the road systems up in there, and the engine companies, the crews, bulldozers, depending on the terrain, we select which resources are going to be most effective in there. But they've gone in there and they're kind of tying all the rock outcroppings to the road systems, getting the vegetation moved back, removed from the fire's edge, and constructing that line across the top. And that's going very well. That portion up in there has not moved or grown in a couple days, but there's still stump holes and stuff like that there's heat up there that they got to put water on and get it taken care of. And then as we come into Fernwood, down kind of right below Fernwood there, and where Topanga Canyon comes up. So we had some structure defense going on in there a couple days ago that was pretty intense. They did a really good job on that Topanga Canyon side, south of Fernwood there. That was held in check, stayed out of the structures, and is now being hose lays and hand line and direct line is being put in play there. As that brings you back up to where Chief Litt started in Topanga Oaks. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Rich Thompson, incident meteorologist, Palisades incident. I'd like to, first of all, take a minute to discuss how we kind of got here weather-wise to the way this fire behaved. First of all, to note is that this area has not received any measurable rainfall since April of last year. So basically, for the last 9 months, this area has been dry, no rain of any kind. So the vegetation out there at the time the fire ignited was very, very dry, very critically dry for this time of year. That was the first thing. Then the day of the event, the area was under extremely strong Santa Ana wind event. In fact, probably one of the strongest Santa Ana wind events we've seen in the last several years. So because of that, we had wind gusts, very, very strong wind gusts, and along with those winds, a very dry atmosphere. So the combination of that very dry brush, those very strong Santa Ana winds, and the dry atmosphere were the perfect ingredients for this fire to spread very quickly and become the damaging incident that it was. So those are the atmospheric conditions that led up to the fire. Now, forecast-wise, what we're looking for beginning tonight and continuing through the middle of next week is another round of Santa Ana winds. We're looking for moderate to strong Santa Ana winds to occur across this area through Wednesday, with probably the strongest winds on Tuesday. So you're going to have really strong gusty winds, very dry atmosphere, and still very dry brush, so still have some very critical fire weather conditions out there for the firefighters to deal with. So therefore, we do have a red flag warning that's in effect from right now until 6 p.m. Wednesday evening to kind of let everyone know that we're going to have those widespread critical fire weather conditions. I would like to stress, though, this upcoming extended round of Santa Ana winds is not going to be anywhere near as strong as we saw when this event broke out. It's going to be as strong as Santa Ana, but maybe be about like 60-70% of the strength of this event that led up to this fire. So, but again, we're looking for another round of critical Santa Ana winds and critical fire weather conditions over the next several days.
Good evening. I'm Joe Everett. I'm the Assistant Chief for the Operations West Bureau for the Los Angeles City Fire Department. And just to give you an idea of where that is, I cover the areas of Hollywood, Brentwood, Bel Air, Pacific Palisades, and I butt up to Malibu, and then I move over and I got a little bit of the airport. And just a little bit more about myself. I'm not just the Assistant Chief there. I'm involved in the community, and let me tell you how that goes. In 1937, my grandfather had his first assignment as a firefighter at Fire Station 69, which is in the Pacific Palisades. Later on, my father became a firefighter, and he retired out of the fire station there in Fire Station 69. I've spent a portion of my career in that area. I spent 5 years as a battalion commander in Pacific Palisades and the surrounding area, and then now I've encompassed more of an area. And you might ask, why would I tell you all this? And this is the reason why. It's because the heartfelt feelings I have over what I've seen, it resonates with me heavily. I feel for the people of the Palisades. I feel for the people of Malibu and the surrounding communities that have had loss. But I'm here to tell you that myself, along with my partners from the Los Angeles County Fire Department and our full force multiplier from the CAL FIRE team that's come in to assist us, I'll be there for you till the end. And I ask you, to please, I know it's frustrating, but please be patient. As we are up there, we're still working, and as you heard from our operations chief, we're working extremely hard to contain and maintain any further damage, and we're still aggressively fighting fire out there. So I ask you to please be patient with us, work with us, and like I said, we're going to work hard. We're going to get through this together.
Good evening. My name is Captain Andrew Cruz from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. I am the incident commander for the Sheriff's Department's incident management team. So on behalf of the Sheriff's Department, I want to first of all say our hearts go out to everyone affected by the fires. Please know that the Sheriff's Department's priorities remain for the safety and the well-being of everyone in the community. Just real quick, give you some numbers. The Sheriff's Department is staffing the Palisades Fire with 103 personnel, along with 16 National Guardsmen. Our missions remain for traffic control points, hard road closures, roving security, welfare checks, and escorts for essential services and needs, such as animal recoveries and medications. As you know, a curfew order was put in place for all mandatory evacuation zones, which take effect from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. This curfew is strictly enforced and is being taken to enhance the public safety and protection of property and to prevent looting in areas where residents have been evacuated. We ask that everyone comply with the curfew and stay clear of the affected zones unless they are authorized personnel or emergency responders. Anyone found in violation of the curfew is subject to arrest of a misdemeanor, which may result in a fine or jail time. We understand this is an extremely stressful, challenging time, and we appreciate the public's cooperation as we work together during this crisis. I'm happy to report that the curfew from last night, there were no arrests made. So, which tells me the curfew order is effective. So, there are services at the Family Assistance Center at the Cheviot Hills Recreation Center. There will be personnel from the Sheriff's Department to answer any questions and to take any missing person reports. Thank you.
Well, good evening. My name is Jim Hudson. I'm the Unified Incident Commander from CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 2. And as we are all in this room together tonight, I just want to say that I'm going to paint a little picture of what we are doing, our actions right now. You got a really good briefing there from our operations section chiefs. But as I talk about what lies ahead, I fully realize that what was already occurred due to the scope and the magnitude of this incident, there's nothing I can say that's going to provide relief or comfort for those that have been impacted and been removed from their homes. But as we're here tonight, my goal is to reassure you that we are taking every action possible for the hand that you have all been dealt in your communities in this incident that we haven't seen a scale like this in the Los Angeles area in a very long time. So as we work through this incident, we are mobilizing all the resources that we can throughout the state of California. These two incidents, this and the Eaton fire, but specifically the Palisades, are those are the top priorities for CAL FIRE right now. We are moving resources from Northern California. We're taking other units down up north to drawdown levels, and we are making every effort. We have all the rotor wing and fixed wing available to us, assigned to these incidents. The majority of them, if not all of them, are working on the Palisades incident today. And we're continuing to get assistance and work through the mutual aid state-to-state process. We've brought in engines as far away as Texas and Montana, as well as all the states that border or are in close proximity to California. It's important to remember, you get a lot of reports from CAL FIRE, and you hear these press conferences around the state during fire season. This incident's a little bit different right now. We have three priorities: life, your property, and perimeter control. When we go to large fires across the state, perimeter control a lot of the time and protecting communities is our number one priority, and we focus our attention around the perimeter of those fires. With this fire, we are still combating structure fires on the interior of the fire, and we're balancing our resources. So this is not just a wildland fire. This is a wildland fire that we're running initial attack structure fires on every day. Crews are working diligently. Most of the resources we have been working 48 hours at some point, and we will continue to do so. And as resources come in, they go directly to the line to assist. So as we work through this too, we're continuing to mobilize. I want you to know that. CAL FIRE is committed to this incident. It's not just about the fire. We're already having discussions with our Unified Incident Command partners here on recovery efforts and really what we can do to stabilize the community. We're going to continue to pull resources in. This will maintain the priority for the state right now as for all the resources we have. And we're continuing to monitor the situation. We're well aware that red flag events or potential red flag and Santa Anas are coming. We are doing everything to be prepared. We have resources here. Every effort is being made to reinforce our lines ahead of that. And we'll look at deploying anything to new incidents around the area as well. We did prepare for this incident. We were well aware that there was going to be a Santa Ana event, but as you heard from our meteorologist here, this was to historic levels for us, those that were here on the front lines, talking to firefighters from around the area, and then in my career, I've never seen ember cast or that we saw that Tuesday and into Wednesday. It was something that I don't know that I'll witness in my career again or any of the folks that were out there. So we can't change the past, but we are here 100% behind these communities that are affected. We'll continue to do so, and we'll provide you all the information and updates moving forward that we can. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Robert Harris, and I'm Deputy Fire Chief for Los Angeles County Fire Department. I'm also the Central Region Deputy, which means I oversee the Malibu community and the LA Basin. I just wanted to assure you, and I am one of the incident commanders here representing Los Angeles County. Right now, the Los Angeles County Fire Department has roughly 1,475 members that are assigned fighting fires right now. We are fully committed to doing the very best that we can to get these fires extinguished. Prior to the start of this fire, we already had apparatus pre-staged in these areas so that we can do our best to quickly extinguish the fire before it got large. We are, as an organization, along with our partners, fully committed to ensuring that we keep you, the community, informed. We just ask for your patience. You know, today, communications, they move very, very quickly. But our primary responsibility that we want to own is to push out communication as quick as possible, but we want to ensure that that communication that we're pushing out is accurate. One thing that we would ask that you do for us is to assist us by heeding any type of evacuations that we push forward. We do understand that these evacuations may be an inconvenience for you. And believe me, we do not take those instructions or those warnings lightly. We will get together, we talk about the pros and cons, but I need you to understand those warnings are to get you out of the area prior to the fire coming, and that will allow us to surge more apparatus in. If you stay in those areas, you put yourself at risk, and you also hamper our firefighting activities. So please assist us in that. There's one more area that I would just like to emphasize that we really need your help. On the third day of this incident, after one of our aerial planes were flying, we got back and it landed over in Van Nuys, and during the inspection, we found a drone that was lodged in one of the wings. Obviously, for obvious reasons, this is something that is very alarming because that could have resulted in disastrous effects to not only our personnel, but those on the ground. So the airspace around this incident is restricted, and that includes any type of public drones. Sadly, though, I must report that since the start of this incident, we've had 48 total drone incursions into the airspace. When those drones, those privately owned drones, are detected, we have to pause firefighting activities, aerial firefighting activities. So we ask you to please assist us by not operating drones in the area. We do have detection devices up, and we will seek to find the owners and then prosecute them accordingly. So please help us continue with the effort and utilize all of our aerial assets, which are just tremendously effective and helpful with helping us extinguish this fire. There is a saying that goes, as firefighters, we risk a lot to save a life. We risk a lot to save a lot. So in that, what do I mean by that is that our firefighters are working extremely long hours, and they're out there putting their lives on the line, as well as to do our very best to service our community and to protect your property. I just need you to know that we take this very seriously. We live here, and we feel your pain. So just know that your Los Angeles County Fire Department will keep you informed. We want to get you back into your properties and your neighborhoods as quick as possible. Just be patient with us. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Lorenz. I'm with the Los Angeles Police Department. I hold the rank of captain. I am going to be the incident commander for the LAPD side for the evening hours from 6 p.m. to 8 or 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. every morning. I just want to, my sympathy goes out to those who've lost their homes. I couldn't imagine how that would feel. I do have several police officers and sergeants that work closely with me who also lost their homes. And sadly, just to clear their own minds, they actually came into work the last couple days just to get their mind off of what was going on. So it's been really hard and draining just on the officers alone, especially the young officers who've never seen anything even like this. But they're doing their best out there, especially at fixed posts and dealing with community members. I will tell you that we're immensely proud with the support from the community for resources, everything from nonprofit resources that have been brought in from other parts of the city. For example, I work in South Central Los Angeles, and I oversee the housing projects over there, Nickerson Gardens, Jordan Downs. And even some of the nonprofits that usually help out in those areas are now coming over to Pacific Palisades. And I'm very grateful just to even see that kind of support, and even the support from the community for our first responders. But just to speak about the mandatory evacuation areas, they continue to be closed to the public. As you know, there have been certain escorts for certain reasons, but effective immediately, and this is something that was told to me by Day Watch. I haven't came on yet officially until after this meeting, but they're going to temporarily suspend all escorts into the mandatory evacuation zones. However, the welfare checks for loved ones and friends that may have been sheltered in place during the burn area will still be conducted as resources are available. LAPD is maintaining its support with the unified command and everybody behind me. We're committed to supporting CAL FIRE, County Fire, and LAFD until residents are able to return. LAPD's responsibility in all this is crime suppression, vehicle and pedestrian control, and conducting welfare checks. LAPD resources that are deployed to the Palisades fire are roughly about 400 LAPD personnel at any given time. We're talking during the day watch and also during the evening watch hours. And we're supported by all our partners that you see here on stage. I know everyone's watched a lot of media lately. You've seen my chief of police speak. You've seen the district attorney speak. Obviously, looting is an issue. The number of arrests are continuously growing. We are catching looters within the zone, but we're securing the area better and better every single day. Just to bring up some crimes of significance, and you'll be the first ones to hear this because this could hit the media soon, but we've made 7 arrests just in the last 2 days, and we even made arrests of 2 individuals that were actually posing as firefighters coming in and out of houses. So we're paying very, very close attention to everybody that's coming through. There was a lot of talk regarding security guard personnel. I know some people wanted their houses watched and they hired security guard personnel to watch their homes, even if they've been burned down. We're vetting those individuals out as carefully as we can, and they're also being monitored by LAPD personnel if we do decide that they're going to be inside the evacuation zone and monitoring residences. But in closing, the mandatory evacuation zones they, remain closed. Please try your best to be patient. If you do have questions and you're out there at scene, please speak to the officer. Try to get as much information as you can. If he doesn't know, there's an incident commander working. Okay, there's one on during day watch hours from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then I come on at 6 p.m. and I take over. There's not a question that we're not going to be able to handle. National Guard is doing a good job assisting us with a lot of fixed post areas, but when it comes to any type of community concerns in regards to going into the burn areas or evacuation zones, or questions and concerns regarding sheltering, or even getting nonprofit resources to help out, even if it's mental health challenges, please speak to the officer at scene. We'll get a supervisor out there. If the supervisor don't know, it'll make it all the way to me, and we'll make sure we get the right people in front of you. But like I said, I'm very grateful. I'm very blessed to be here in front of you, but at the same time, I feel very sorry for those who lost their homes. I don't know what that feels like. I still look at my officers who lost their homes, and they're coming to work every single day. I just don't know how they do that. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Congressman Brad Sherman. For decades, I've represented the West and South San Fernando Valley, and 3 years ago, they added to the district Pacific Palisades, Malibu, Brentwood, Bel Air, most of the West Side neighborhoods that have been affected. With me here is John Alford, and he and I will be around and available to you, and we're available at the office, 818-501-9200. Usually in an event like this, I'd have handouts for you. We're just flying as fast as we can, and so the material is available on the web, Congressman Brad Sherman.house, that's for House of Representatives.gov, or it's everything I'm going to say, or just about everything. I've also tweeted at Brad Sherman. On the federal side, one issue we've been dealing with is these notices that come on your phone. People will wonder, is that the county's fault? There's some of them most of them have been erroneous, or FEMA's fault, or the private contractor's fault. We'll find out later whose fault it is. The key thing is they've solved the problem, and we've got to get the word out. Now, if you get a notice on your phone, it's for real. And also to know what the evacuation areas are and what the warning areas are. Probably the most up-to-date site is the LA Fire Department for inside the LA city limits. Then you've got the County Fire Department site for areas outside the city limits. And both of these sites are available, again, at bradsherman.house.gov or at Brad Sherman on Twitter. You've got the site there to go, and these sites, of course, are kept up to date, so it's a little odd. You click on it from my Twitter now, you click on it an hour from now, you get a somewhat different map. As others have said, if you're told to evacuate, please evacuate. The police and National Guard are now doing a much better job in making sure that your possessions are safe. As to the cost of evacuating, most fire insurance policies will pay for a mandatory evacuation hotel room. If the insurance company doesn't, FEMA will pay for that, for a mandatory evacuation. I believe their number is something like $174 a night. And of course, there are evacuation centers in various places, one right next to our office in Sherman Oaks. But you know that there's one at El Camino High School and several other places. And these centers will accept small pets. For large animals, you've got Pierce College. So nobody wants to leave, but your possessions will be safe. The cost is taken care of. Your pets can be safe. I'll be sending out a mass email tomorrow and many of you are getting those mass emails. It'll also be on the website. Best evacuation practices. A couple of things. Make sure, of course, you take your medicines, your Pretz medicines, etc. Close your garage door. And I'm being told by people who know a lot more about fire than I do that can be critical in saving your home. There are a whole bunch of other things that will be in that mass email we're sending tomorrow. We're going to be, right now, well, soon we'll be in the rebuild and recovery phase. The biggest source of funds to rebuild your home, to take care of your property, is your insurance policy. But I know insurance has been expensive. Many of you are on the FAIR, the state's FAIR policy program, which is limited insurance. Some of you have regular private insurance, but the amount may not be sufficient. There is some federal help. It is not what I would like to see, but these are the standards that have been applied to every major disaster. I'm going to be asking my colleagues to make an exception. They're going to say, but we didn't do it for North Carolina, and I've got to say, yes, but do it for the Palisades. The two big items are loans at 4%, $500,000 for property, for real estate, $100,000 for everything else. There's also grants, $43,600 maximum for uninsured repair costs to your home. And if you qualify for that at the federal level, the state will kick in $10,000 more. For another $43,000, separate $43,600 for everything else, including automobile losses and medical costs, etc. What else? I want to commend CAL FIRE and the state in general. They did something that is unusual in our business. They acted before the disaster. That is to say, the governor was advised, and 2 to 3 days before the first spark, they had already brought fire resources down from Northern California. Now, there probably wasn't going to be a fire. This isn't the only time we've had wind. Not every wind results in something like this. But the meteorologist said the wind was coming. They moved the resources down. If there hadn't been any fires, I'm sure some enterprising journalist would say, oh my God, they wasted a lot of money bringing resources down. What if there'd been a fire in Northern California? The smart thing to do was to pre-position those resources over, I'm told, over 100 engines, helicopters, etc. And to take action before there's a fire is certainly unusual. As we look to the future, we have to change the way we live. It's not enough to be able to respond to a fire with everything that our firefighters do. We need to make sure that buildings that were built before 2008 are brought up to the 2008 Chapter 7A Building Code for Fire Resistance. We have to deal in a much more serious way with vegetation management and make sure that vegetation is 10 feet away from the home. So I look forward to working with you on this, and I wish I had handout materials and had a better script, but I'm, like all of us, just running and trying to keep up with this. I look forward to seeing you at the break. Thank you.
I now would like to open up for our elected officials to come up and speak that didn't get a chance to get on our list to come up. So if you could, one person at a time, come on up, and I'd be more than happy to give you the mic.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. I'm Jackie Irwin, and I first would like to say to all of you that lost a home, my heart really goes out to you. It is devastating, the stories that we've heard at the centers when I've talked to the homeowners, so I am very, very sorry. I've been out in the Palisades and Malibu the last 3 days, and what you see is extraordinary. It is nothing like I have ever seen before, so I know that the Palisades community is resilient and you will rebuild. There are a lot of elected officials here. They have been incredible advocates for you. We have gotten calls about turning the lights on. We've called Edison, we've called the gas company, we've called the cable companies. There is a portion of Malibu that actually had no electricity, no gas, no cell phone service, and no cable. And the representatives that we've talked to are working very diligently to get those services back in place. My office is right here in Thousand Oaks. We had a satellite office in Pacific Palisades. It did burn down. But I want you to know that my staff is out and about. They are helping at the shelters. I have one of my staff members right here. We will help you with any insurance issues you have, help connect you to FEMA, help if your lights aren't on. So we want to make sure that you reach out. I don't have all the numbers memorized like the congressman, but if you just look up Jackie Irwin, you are all my constituents. This is, by the way, in my district, the 5th fire in the last 6 weeks. And so we're all familiar with fires, but nothing of this level. So please reach out. Lindsay Horvath's staff is here. Tracy Park's staff is here. And our staff, the congressional members, I think some of you have Julia Brownlee too, please reach out if you need anything. It's going to be a very tough next few years, but we want to be there to help with anything we can. And we are going to be looking at what type of legislation we can do to make sure that we're able to streamline the process of rebuilding and to get you the resources that you need. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Assemblymember Jesse Gabriel. I represent the San Fernando Valley in the California State Legislature, and I first just want to start by extending our heartfelt and deepest sympathies to everyone who's been personally impacted by this. We are all Angelenos, we are all Californians, we are all Americans, and the scenes of devastation that I was able to tour firsthand with Assemblywoman Irwin in the Palisades and in Malibu and in all the affected communities, I mean, it is just unbelievable. And I also want to thank our incredible firefighters and first responders. As you heard, many of them are working 48-hour shifts. Many of them have been personally impacted, and I just want to assure you that the incredible professionalism and dedication that they have brought to this is really next level. And being able to see them, being able to see the way that we have assembled over 14,000 personnel who are working to fight the Palisades fire. When you go down to the Unified Command Center, you see firefighters from other states. We just brought in firefighters from Mexico today. We have air assets from Canada. You see fire trucks from up and down the state of California. When I drove down from Sacramento on Tuesday morning, we were passing crews on Highway 5 from all parts of the state. So we are very grateful for folks who have stepped in to support our community. I want to speak specifically to those who have been impacted in the South San Fernando Valley. I was among those who got a mandatory evacuation order last night. I know that it can be very scary to try to put your kids in the car at night and gather your possessions. And I just want to thank everybody in Encino and Tarzana who followed those evacuation orders and got out of harm's way. That is something that is really important. And I also want to reassure folks, because I know that there have been a lot of concerns, that the communities are well taken care of. I was back there today. There is a National Guard presence. There's a very significant presence from law enforcement. And I want to thank the LAPD. They are keeping our communities safe. I drove around all of the neighborhoods that are not accessible to the public. It is quiet. It is calm. There's a very, very significant and strong LAPD presence there. So I want to thank law enforcement who is keeping the community safe. And again, if you get an evacuation order, please follow it. Do not hesitate to leave. Your home will be protected, your possessions will be protected, and you can count on the folks behind us in uniform. They are taking great care of us. Let me also say one other thing about the drones. Please, please, please do not fly a drone. As somebody who was watching aircraft and helicopters go over my community all day yesterday, all day today, these are making a difference in the fight. And when you put up a drone in the air, you are putting our firefighters at risk, you're putting your neighbors at risk, you're putting our community at risk. And I can tell you there are FBI agents on the ground right now in Southern California. If you fly a drone, They will find you. You will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Do not put a drone in the air. Finally, let me say, for those of you in the Valley who have been impacted that we can help, I have 3 members of my staff who are here tonight to help you with anything that you might need. You can also call our district office in Encino at 818-380-2460. You can look us up online and sign up for our email list. We're putting out alerts on social media and via email to try to help folks with whatever it may be. So please, please do not hesitate to reach out if we can be an assistance. Finally, let me say one thing, both in my capacity as the representative of the San Fernando Valley and also as chair of the State Budget Committee. We know that we have a big rebuild ahead of us, but I want to assure you that the state of California is going to be part of that. We are going to coordinate very, very closely with our federal partners, with our local partners in all of this. We are in this together. We are a resilient community, we are a resilient state, and we will rebuild these communities. And we are already thinking and in coordination. You have seen some executive orders from the governor come through. You will see more from the governor. You will see more work from the legislature in the days and weeks to come. But we are in the fight with you, and we will support this recovery every step of the way. So thank you, everybody. Please stay safe. Please listen to our first responders. And again, thank you to our first responders for your heroic work. We appreciate it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Doug Stewart. I'm the mayor of the city of Malibu. And I want you to know that we appreciate every person that is behind me, every person that's in the field, our partners in the local governments, the city of Agoura Hills, Calabasas, Westlake Village, Hidden Hills have all come to our aid. And I will tell you, this has been a struggle for us. This is the 3rd fire in 3 months for us. I actually know many of the people that are behind me here because we've been on this same type of a forum before. The Franklin fire, the Broad fire, and now the Palisades fire. This is the most destructive, and it has hit us hard. And to our neighbors and friends of Malibu, as well as our neighbors in the Palisades and the other fire victims, it's a very difficult time for all of us. Malibu has lost approximately 1/3 of its eastern edge of the city. Those of you that have driven down our pristine highway, PCH, know the beautiful homes that were along the area from Topanga to almost to Dukes. They're gone. For the most part, they're gone. Big Rock, a community of many wonderful people, is gone. We have other homes between Big Rock to Carbon Mesa are severely damaged or gone. We have a tremendous rebuilding ahead of us, but we're not out of the firefront fight yet. As the firefighters and the CAL FIRE people have said, we still have an active fire and we have high winds tonight. The city's Emergency Operations Center has remained open since last Tuesday. By the way, the days start to run together when you're doing this. We're going to continue on until Wednesday. In fact, our staff here tonight, the Assistant City Manager, Joe Toney, the Mayor Pro Tem, Mary Ann Riggins, and myself have been actively involved in that EOC as well as the other council members ever since the beginning. Our dedicated city staff, we have about 120 people, have rotated in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're tired, but they love our city, and they love our neighbors, and they love our friends, and we're in it to the end. The city of Malibu has a long road ahead of it. And I know that Assemblywoman Irwin, Congressman Sherman, Senator Allen, and the other people that support us and elected officials have been at our side 100%. I can't tell you how much we appreciate what they've done for us. And they're going to be there for us in the rebuild. We're already planning what we have to do next. Obviously, our focus right now is to make sure that our neighbors and friends that are in a time of need right now are taken care of. And we're working diligently to do that. Everything from having portable cell towers brought in to trying to get the electricity back on. But we face power shutoffs probably even as early as tonight or early next week. And as Assemblywoman said, we were a city that quite often during this fire, or during the start of the fire, had no utility communications to the outside world. We had almost no way to talk to our residents to warn them of the fire. But yet, we managed not to have any fatalities with people who were not left behind. We have 3 people that passed away. Yes, I said that they stayed behind, but it was not an easy night, and it's been a difficult time for all of us. We're looking at the rebuilding process. We're here to help you. Unfortunately, we have the experience of the Woolsey fire to teach us what we should do right and do better, and we're going to follow that. As I said before, it's not easy to be in a city that's now our 3rd fire in 3 months. We hope this is the end of this. We're going to do all we can to make Malibu a better place to live, and we trust our neighbors and our friends to do all they can to keep Malibu strong. Thank you very much.
So we're going to change our approach on the questions that were asked. We had so many questions that were asked that I'm just going to read them off one at a time. The appropriate person will come up and speak to that question. We were going to do individuals. They were going to have the questions ahead of time, but this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to read this one. What determines evacuation areas and downgrading to warning?
Good evening again, Christian Litz for the LA County Fire Department Operations. So when we look at evacuation areas, from the start of the fire, number one priority we always say is life. It's the people in the area of the fire and in the path of the fire. So when we're judging where we're gonna evacuate, right, there's always orders, there's shelter in place, orders, and warning. Shelter in place because there's a time frame. We want to keep them as safe as possible. Sometimes being safe is in their houses until we could get people in there to get them out safely. Evacuation warning is an area where we're letting the people know they can pack their cars, they can get ready so that when they get the notice, they can move at a faster pace, again, to keep them safe and allow us, our personnel, to get in there and do what they have to do. And then the orders are what we do to get them out, because we have to get our rigs in there. A lot of the streets in this area are very narrow, very windy, tight, and obviously our apparatus that we use is very large, don't turn well, they don't back up well, but we have the water and the power to do what we have to do to stop the fire. How we determine this is we look at the path of the fire, where it's going, the potential. We look at the weather. We bring in our weather experts. We bring in what FBAN, which is a fire behavior analyst. A lot of you guys know Chief Drew Smith over here is well known for the last 25, 30 plus years. Very good at that. He helps us a lot in the IA in this area. He's the assistant chief around here. And we look at that and we say, what is the potential? The potential is it could get here. And if there is a possibility in any way that there's harm to people, we get them out of the way so that we can get ready to work. We look at what's going on through the growth of the fire, what's happening, and we take everything into account. We know it's hard for the families to leave. We know the people don't like to leave their houses, but we want to keep them safe. And we understand everything that you're going through. I almost lost my house in the tick fire in 2019. It was very hard. We had to pack up the family and we had to leave. We understand, and we understand the other side of that. We always look, how do we get you back as soon as possible? But to be able to do that, to repopulate your house, we need to make the area safe again for you. We have to build that infrastructure so that you're safe, so that you're ready, and you have all the needs that you can do to thrive in your own home. Thank you.
Next question is going to be, how many resources from Los Angeles County were part of the fire pre-position?
So for the pre-position for LA County, we mobilized 4 strike teams of apparatus to be ready so we can surge into any of the area, and we strategically placed them. A strike team is approximately 5 engines, so you're looking at roughly, you do the math, 20 engines were pre-positioned so that we can surge them into the areas. And then on top of that, you have all of the apparatuses that are normally positioned or stationed in the Malibu area.
Next question is, if my home is still standing and I need my belongings, am I able to retrieve them?
So at this time, we are not letting any folks into the area that's been evacuated unless it's an essential need. Again, medication, animal rescue. So if it's just regular belongings at this time, unfortunately, we will not let anybody in until the fire department deems the area safe to repopulate. Thank you.
This is a double question. How long will Sunset be closed, and how long will the canyon be closed?
Well, again, sorry, I cannot give a definite answer on the closure time, and that's because going back to the last question, we want to make sure that the area is safe before we let anybody in. Has to be safe for you, number one, has to be safe for us. Remember, we have to get that infrastructure built up. We have to get the power lines off the roads. We have to get everything set up for you going in. As this moves forward, we try to think ahead, up to 48 to 72 hours ahead, to give you warning, hey, this is going to happen. We message all those messages out through the PIO. We make sure that we have that uniform message coming through from law, from fire, and everybody else that needs to be part of that decision process. As soon as we evacuate, our mental process is how soon can we get them back in? The devastation that's happened in this area is pretty extensive, so that's going to add time to when we can make it safe to come back in, but we're already building that plan. We've already had people working towards that end product, and we'll get you back into your houses as soon as we can. Thank you.
This is probably for you again. Is there any threat to Silva Park, View Ridge, or the top of Topanga?
What we've been dealing with since the inception of this fire is the wind, the environment, the dry fuels. With the lack of rainfall that we've had, our live fuel moisture is what we look at. So the fuel is still ready to burn in January, which is unprecedented in the area. So we take that into account. But if you look at the activity that today, so you're looking in the area to the right, if we were looking at that map earlier, to the right of Sylvia Park, of Topanga Oaks, the top of Topanga, Fernwood, we are doing what we can to stop that. Now, is it threatened? Do I feel it's going to be hit tonight? No. But I'm not saying we're out of the woods, because I could turn around and say, we are safe, we are stopping this, and next thing I know, the wind does an erratic shift on us. That is not, we could predict the wind as much as we can, but it changes day to day. It might get into a pocket. Today we had a nice steady wind when we had activity. Just an example, the wind was going great, everything was perfect, but in one section it swirled into a saddle. It blew one ember over, that ember caught, and now we had another growth of fire. So we are doing our work diligently, but again, we plan to keep it as small as we can, but we prepare for the worst. That's why you see people in, even though the fire is not running towards Sylvia Park, Topanga, Oaks, and all the other areas. We still have resources in the area doing what they can, preparing just in case we have that wind shift, just in case we have embers go where we don't want them, so that we can do the maximum amount of work and have the right people in the right place to do structure defense and defend life. Thank you.
This is two questions. How long will the increase in police security presence be during the evacuation, and how many looters have been found?
So the LAPD presence at the different burn sites, that's going to remain in effect until further notice. It's important that we continue to support CAL FIRE. We continue to safeguard the homes of those who've lost their homes or even damaged or even in the burn area. The last thing we want to do is turn our back on these areas. As you know, there is a strain on LAPD. We do have to handle 911 calls throughout the city. We pulled resources from different areas throughout the city to focus on this area, and maybe for one of the first times in my career, we're actually operating at what they call a minimum operating force, just to handle 911 calls in other areas of the city. But we're pulling resources, and we're going to keep them here in Pacific Palisades until further notice, and all the different burn sites to safeguard everyone's property and to support all the different areas where we can't get help, let's just say from the National Guard and other areas. In regards to looters, that number is continuously growing. I can't tell you as we speak. I do know that people do get detained on a regular basis. Some people are being investigated, but the average number of looters that are getting detained per day are roughly about 10. However, they're getting vetted out through different investigations. Like I said, there are some people up there that are posing as security guards, and we later found out that they're not security guards, and then they're subject to arrest on spot. So unfortunately, I can't give you a hard number on exactly how many looters that have been arrested at this very moment that we're here.
When can we enter the blocked roads to remove debris?
So a lot of questions that are very similar when it comes to repopulation and entering the area. So right now we are focusing, we start planning for repopulation as soon as we evacuate people. First is the fire activity, and what is the potential for growth? What is the potential for flare-ups? Right now we're in an active firefight, as operations said. So right now the focus is the extinguishing the fire and getting people out and making sure people don't get burned and maintaining the evacuation routes. We are already having conversations about infrastructure, clearing roads. That is ongoing. There's a lot of factors when it comes into getting people back into their homes safely. Clearing roads is one of them, so those are discussions that we are having. And it's also, there's a lot of factors that go into it, as I mentioned earlier. Any hazards that are still in there, hazardous materials, energized electrical, any water flow that could be contaminated, and all the just other factors that we have to, agencies that we're coordinating with are the utility companies that are impacted by this, the water agencies. So those conversations started the next morning. So I don't have a time frame on that, but they are happening, and our goal is to get people back to their property as soon as possible. We do not delay that any further than necessary. It is our top priority, as well as extinguishing the fire and making sure nobody gets hurt during this. So we'll update as we get that information, but I just wanted to inform you on the process. So thank you.
One of the questions is, what can we do to mitigate vegetation fires in the future? That's a really broad question that would take a lot of facets to be able to answer, but you yourself in your own homes can take the precautions by clearing out the space, which is 100 feet, the CAL FIRE. I'll talk about this now and a little bit later, but if you go on to fire.ca.gov, there's a lot of information on there about how to clear your areas. So right next to the house, you want to make sure that there is almost down to dirt or a green belt that would be in there, and then the next from 10 feet to 30 feet, you start moving out, and then within the 70 feet out there, it's more of a sparse. There's a lot of great information on that website about all of that, and that would help you singularly help yourself in your home. And as you work towards the future, that would definitely help harden your house and make sure that you yourself are able to do so. And then there's lots of different things throughout that the federal, state, and local governments are doing. And there's a lot of those things that each one of those would be able to share with that if we had a lot more time for that. Also, getting your medication. The number one thing is that all of our local and even national healthcare, if you don't have your medication, reach out to your doctor and they will refill it. That's the part of the thing. You don't have to go back to your house to get it. They are ready if you are part of the fire and that you cannot get to yours, that they will give you the amount to be able to get you past the evacuation period. And so that's the best way to get back into get your medications if you do that. And that is going to take care of the questions for this evening. This will conclude our community meeting. For further questions, we're going to have PIOs outside at MAPS. They'll be able to answer a little bit more one-on-one questions outside. And again, if you want any information on the fire, it's fire.ca.gov for the up-to-the-minute verified information. Thank you, and stay safe.
My husband ran a place and almost died. I ended up in the hospital for 3.5 days. told people we didn't have anything. We had stuff. We had all this stuff. Scott's there at the table right now.
You guys are qualified to say your accounts, I guess. I see that like
We sent an email to everyone in the district.
minimize like infographics because no one ever reads them. So like I've always told them like just minimize it on Instagram. Thank you guys for the infographics.
Thanks, guys.
And then
Correct.
all right, well thank you. It's nice to meet you guys. Thank you, America. Nice to meet you as well. Yes, yes. Nice to meet you as well. Bye.
question mark over here. appreciate it.